one.
This is a document from Legacy.
From
The
Legacy?
Title, yeah. The title is Merrill Williams, spelled Merril.
Wait, Merril?
Yes, and Jeffrey Wigand. It's spelled Merrill and Merrill both with IL.
Wait, it's spelled two different ways. Merrill is Merril.
Merril and Merrill.
No. There's one L and then there's two L's.
Yes.
Okay, and then they're both Jeffrey Wigand. Is this separated by a semicolon?
Yes, it is.
So this is a document that was pulled from a Brown and Williamson file, which
Yes.
was sent over to Legacy as per the Master Settlement Agreement, I believe.
Yes, and the date is June 25, 1999.
June 25, 99.
From Kirkland and Ellis.
Wait.
It
Slow
was
down.
faxed from Kirkland and Ellis to Brown and Williamson. It's in the Brown and Williamson's files.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, what is it? What I'm going to say it is first of all, is there anything on this document that says privilege?
No.
Okay, so this is not a privileged document. Let me just point out that everything I've ever seen as far as this submission for the Master Settlement Agreement has always been privileged. And if this is, did you say Kirkland and Ellis?
Yes.
Okay.
It's from Kirkland and Ellis.
Okay. And
Brown and Williamson.
Kirkland and Ellis is at the top of this, and that would be the firm. That's the outside firm, and it's not a privileged document, and it's intended as a fax because it's got a date on it and a number. I think this is document and the first document says Merrill Williams, semicolon, Jeffrey Wigand.
So, what is it?
Okay, what I'm looking at is, first of all, since I was sued twice and had about 60 depositions with Brown and Williamson, and in Kirkland and Ellis, Kenneth Starr, who's now the Chancellor of Baylor and was part of the tobacco litigators and part of certainly the appellate litigators, and was also, by the way, the prosecutor of our President William Clinton. And it is interesting to note that, these people, first of all, don't make mistakes. If they make mistakes, they don't send them on. They don't fax them on. They don't try to make an error where they know they're making an error unless they're making an error intentionally. So, what was your question?
Who is Merrill, or Merrill with one L and two L's?
My guess is that
Williams, and who is Jeffrey Wigand?
Well, first of all, Merrill is intended for me. I don't know of anybody else that would be spelled that way.
Do you think they misspelled it on purpose because your name is Merrell?
Right. It's as I say, during the litigation, there were, I don't know how many documents that were spelled correctly, and Kirkland and Ellis had at least two appellate cases for Kenneth Starr, and I'm sure that they spelled it correctly for the D.C. judges and for the 6th district, wherever, I think it was New Orleans district, but nevertheless, there's no question that this is my name. And Jeffrey Wigand, we know as the person who was, at the very least, the iconic person who was very useful to developing at least the voice of interpreting documents, as Stanton Glantz says, the documents that were out there. He was an executive at Brown and Williamson, and he gave testimony, and beyond that, he became important in one way. But 1999 is an interesting year. Certainly June 25th of 1999. So ask on and let me see.
Who is Kirkland and Ellis?
Kirkland and Ellis was is the tobacco law firm, one of them, and they worked strongly and heavily. And I know that Kirkland and Ellis represented the appellate briefs and the appellate interests of Brown and Williamson. What they're doing here on this is questionable. I don't.
So what does the date June 25, 1999 represent?
I'm interested in that in terms of what I can read from the first page and the documents that are outlined in terms of Alabama, Alaska, Hawaii, Idaho, Kansas, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, so forth on down there. There's 17 states and one Commonwealth, Puerto Rico, and then on that's column 1. Column 2 is an amount of money, and the amount of money starts at Alabama with considerable sum for me. The name Merrill Williams misspelled, and then if you turn over to Jeffrey Wigand and then you look at the same two columns, column 1, column 2, you have Alabama, you have the 17 states and the one Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, and the interesting thing is, there's such a difference for one thing, but if you're thinking it, what is this? You have to realize that there's a point of where things were in 1999. In June, there were a lot of states that were represented by lawyers. This could be something that has to do with a payback for lawyers. This could be. I don't think this is a law, a fee, a billable from any billable laws. It just doesn't make sense, and I'll tell you why. If you look at especially for Jeffrey Wigand, there's a great disparity in the amount of money that's, say, in Vermont or Alabama or Massachusetts, and the difference.
So there are 18 columns in column number 1, and financial U.S. dollars amounts.
18 numbers.
18 states. There are 18 states in column number 1, and financial dollar amounts
in column 2.
Column 2. What does this mean?
Well, in Alabama, for example, there's if you look at the name Merrill Williams, which is misspelled, is $48,513 and 79 cents. This is not a rounded off figure. These are really like a percentage.
And what does the Alabama column number 1, 3,008.90 column 2 in Wigand mean?
How much?
3.
It's considerable.
It's 1,000.
No, wait a minute. 1,000.
308.
No, it's 308.90.
90, yes.
Yeah.
In column 2. What does it mean in Wigand?
Well, if you take Alabama and you say, okay, Williams is $48,513.79, and Jeffrey Wigand, when you turn it over, he spelled correctly, by the way, and you look at his column and his number on Alabama, for example, that's only $308.90. The interesting thing is that couldn't possibly be a law bill from Kirkland and Ellis, because they don't have them. And as a matter of fact, if you look at more of Jeffrey Wigand, I mean, it's incredible that some of this is well, these pages mention absolutely nothing where this money's going and why it's going, but it's
So
incredible.
nobody knows where this money is going?
No.
So what is William's total of 1,282,027.55 for the 18 states versus 8,164.20 for Jeffrey Wigand mean?
You know, this is a conundrum, and I would love to see if this is related in any way to some kind of lawyer's payoff or some kind of arbitration payoff, or because these arbitrators there was a tripartite of arbitrators, and it falls into a period of time that's there's something to do with the states who settled and those states who didn't settle. There's every reason to indicate these are not law fees from Kirkland
So is
and
it
Ellis.
some kind of fiddling with figures in your
I
name?
think they're fiddling with figures, and I think that there is a possibility that may indicate that Kirkland and Ellis had a label on these particular concepts as Alabama, Alaska, Hawaii, Idaho, Kansas, Louisiana, and each of these has a number of. For example, New York on my misspelled name is 383,090. No, it's 383,93,000 and 19 cents. What's the odd piece for? That's what is so.
Are these numbers because of the population of each state?
I've looked at that possibility because on the sale allocation percentages, the state allocation percentages, if you looked at Alabama, the percentage that they're supposed to receive is 1.616308%, and New York, of course, with a larger population, receives an enormous difference between the population. New York, New York gets 13. Is it 12.7620, yada yada yada, and you go down here to Vermont, and it's 0.4118, not too populated. And again, when you deal with Mississippi, Florida, and Texas, they had already settled. In Mississippi, Florida, and but there's 46 non-settled states, and they weren't just dragged to the table. But this, to me, sounds very much like a deceptive practice of some sort.
So this is an important question I have. Is this a recovery value or a charge, a law fee, or an accounting intent to deceive?
I think one of the interesting things to me is that there's an independent accountant with the supposedly authorized through the Attorneys General, which is the Attorneys General Association, and I would like to know if this is a pass-through. Obviously, it is not, and they protect this, even though they were made under the agreement.
This is indecent.
Well, I'm not going to comment on indecent because it's the tobacco industry and the tobacco industry's outhouse counsel. And that's not what I'm saying. They're probably fulfilling a duty. Duty to what? Duty to who? Duty to whom? Is it the Attorney General's Association? Is it, well, obviously the first marker here is to the states. Why are they trying to deliberately deceive us here or deceive someone here? And is this perhaps an IRS issue, perhaps a tax issue?
Why do they benefit by misspelling your name?
What is the benefit? I don't know. And it's obviously what they're doing. And there's over 1.3 million, almost 1.3 million on me, and there's another one, $8,164.12 or something like that for Jeffrey Wigand.
Why is Wigand's money accounting so much smaller?
Well, because I'm much more important than he is. But that's beside the point. I mean, obviously, what we're looking.
Where do you think this money went to?
I don't know. I mean, it's like every bit of money here. Kirkland and Ellis is no sloppy law firm, nor is B&W, and nor do they protect themselves loosely. And when they distribute something out of that which becomes part of history, and this goes to legacy documents, and I'm not going to poo-poo legacy documents because they confiscated and stole a bunch of mine that were stolen from Brown and Williamson somehow, and meticulously it became a part of their library, which started the whole thing. And when we get down to it, 1999 was an interesting year. Do you have any further comment here, or is it done with?
All the questions are asked, and I continue with the impression that this is an indecent intent to deceive.
Well, let me just point out that that's your opinion, and
I think it's the opinion of most people that will listen to us.
Well, who are you saying is, or whom, or what entity are you saying is
Brown
deceiving?
and Williamson?
Why would they be? I mean, Brown and Williamson is fully open here.
Or a law firm.
My point is, I would think that because it's not privileged, that Brown and Williamson intentionally wanted this to be seen.
So why did it appear only now? If it was done in 1990?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if they didn't have some sort of schedule of depositing, because they had to deposit all litigation documents with the legacy or from their website, and you can still see these coming in.
Does this make you angry?
I want to know to what extent it affects me, and so if this is something that had to do with, let's say, money that was directed toward some kind of effort, it has something to do with, let's just say, hiding something, from the arbitration panel or something like that. Believe me, the arbitration panel was nothing but a scandalous organization, an outfit of 3 people who varied from state to state, but nevertheless.
If you think somebody is hiding something, who would this person be, or what would this thing? What would the entity be?
That's a conundrum. It is certainly a puzzle, and if I were to imagine this, I can only imagine that lawyers and not laymen were behind this. But this is supposed to be an accounting concept, and this is not Arthur Andersen. But obviously, we're looking at a factual piece, which I believe that Brown and Williamson wanted to be seen on the web, or it would have been, as they are so dutifully bound, and they do this. For
what reason?
Exposing something. I don't know. I don't think that Brown and Williamson is culpable for anything, or they wouldn't have allowed it to get in there, because they're just fulfilling. They would fulfill
another unanswered question to the puzzle of the master settlement.
Yes, yes. Are you Watson, or are you? Sherlock.
It's a feeling.
Yeah, well, feelings. Women have intuitions too. Okay, well, this is Merrell Williams, Williams, signing off for another devious and totally constructive effort to impart wisdom to those people who don't know what's going on, including myself in this case.